So today's my dad's birthday, and every year he always asks me or my brother to make him something, not buy him something. So these are the top 10 movies I've watched with my dad. Number 10 are two movies, Waterboy and Big Daddy. I love these movies unashamedly and wholeheartedly. I couldn't pick between these two movies because they are just both the pinnacle of Adam Sandler comedy for me. These movies are so dumb, but they are kind of perfect. I just don't understand how people who want to be film students or film critics can hate a film as funny as these, yet love a movie like Punch Drunk Love. Anyway, I'm lucky enough to grow up watching these movies and have Scuba Steve and Rob Schneider one-liners be in my back pocket any time of the day, and that's all because of my dad. I wouldn't be able to appreciate and love Sandler in Uncut Gems or the Meyerowitz stories if it wasn't for my dad showing these to my brother and I when I was a kid. Number 9 is Walk the Line. I know that you, Dad, will be happy this is on the list. For a good year, my dad would constantly tell me I need to watch Walk the Line, and he would praise it and say I would love it, but I would push it off each and every time. But I'm happy to say that the day I finally agreed to watching it, I was truly blown away. I don't have much to say except that he can tell me I told you so, and I still don't have those damn Johnny Cash songs out of my head. Number 8 is Brawl in Cell Block 99. So Vince Vaughn is one of my dad and I's favorite actors, which will come into play later in this video. And when we both saw this, we were floored. This was such a fun, surprising, and brutal experience to watch with my dad. We're so used to Vince Vaughn being a quick talking, funny man, but he takes this role and shits on all those past films he's done. Vaughn is the perfect, brooding, intense criminal, using his height and size to his advantage for this film. Seeing him beat the living crap out of people or just damage his car with his bare hands had my dad and I's jaws on the floor. This was also my introduction to S. Craig Zahler, who has quickly become one of my favorite directors working today. I urge everyone to watch this, but do not watch it if you can't handle violence. Number 7 is Mission Impossible Fallout. It's rare that my dad and I go to a theater to watch a movie because we usually will just watch it on demand or Netflix, but when we do choose to go out, we see movies that turned into some of my favorites of all time, and Fallout is one of those films. I'm not a big Mission Impossible fan. In fact, I haven't even seen the first 3, but we needed to see this after hearing the stunts Tom Cruise pulled off for this movie. I needed to see how important that mustache was that ruined Justice League, and my god, Fallout is the best action movie I've seen in the past decade. That's without mentioning Mad Max Fury Road. My dad and I love practical stuff, and everything in this is done with such detail and force. It's crazy to think Tom Cruise did all that shit, but my god, it delivers. Great action, it's a great story, it's got great characters, it's a great movie. Number 6 is Hellboy. Ron Perlman is Hellboy through and through. It has great makeup and special effects throughout with a strong supernatural vibe, and it's such a beautiful love story too. My dad showed me Hellboy at such a young age that has completely paved the way for my love for superheroes. It has a good story with a perfect lead performance, good action, and it's just all around fun to watch. Number 5 is Bronson. Growing up, my dad would regularly have movies sent to the house back when Netflix was sent through the mail, and I remember watching Bronson and sitting down watching with him. I'm lucky that my parents let me sit through rated R movies because some of my favorite films today I got to see at such a young age. Bronson was the first film I watched with Tom Hardy, and because of my curiosity after seeing a man fight off guards naked, I was introduced to one of my favorite actors of all time. Tom Hardy undoubtedly pours every last drop of raw talent into this movie. Bronson is real, it's true, and it's sympathetic. It's just an hour and a half of someone explicitly defined by their violence and their egoist aspirations, and yet somehow I've got nothing but interest and respect for the real Charles Bronson. Number 4 is Watchmen. Speaking of my love for superheroes, Watchmen was the moment of no return. My dad and mom brought my brother and I to see this in theaters, not knowing what was going to be shown. I don't remember a lot because I kept getting hands put over my eyes, but what I do remember is how mesmerized I was. Soon after, my dad bought me the graphic novel, and that introduced me into the big world of comic books. Watchmen is by far one of my favorite films of all time, and in my opinion, it is a perfect adaptation. From the opening credits to the character design and story to the music, the memorable scenes, by far one of the greats. That scene showcasing the birth of Dr. Manhattan.
I feel fear for the last time.
This is my favorite scene of all time in any movie. If it wasn't for my dad and my mom making the horrible parenting decision to bring my brother and I to the movies that day, I wouldn't have sparked my true love for superheroes and filmmaking and comic books. So I just want to say thanks, Dad, and thanks, Mom. Number 3 is Hell or High Water. My dad and I happily fell upon this movie while scrolling to find a movie to watch, and it instantly became a favorite to both him and I. Hell or High Water is full of fantastic performances, beautiful dialogue, brilliant editing, and a Jeff Bridges growl that makes this film perfect. It's an insanely underrated gem you simply shouldn't walk by. Not enough people talk about this movie, and I'm incredibly lucky that my dad and I found this. I don't want to spoil it, but it's a movie every film fanatic should see. Number 2 is Dodgeball, a true underdog story. Yes, Dad, this is why I watched Dodgeball the other day at your house. Now, this is what I was talking about when I mentioned Vince Vaughn. Dodgeball is by far one of my favorite comedies, if not films, of all time. My dad is known to burst into a crazy laughter during movies, and he is also known to annoyingly ask, "Rewind that. I need to see that again." I can't recall a movie that he has done this more than Dodgeball, a true underdog story. This is a bunch of brilliant comedic actors at their peak, delivering insanely hilarious lines in just a ludicrous plot. Every single line, every single gag works. Every possible opportunity for humor is maximized in this film. It is honestly one of the greatest comedies ever made. Again, thanks to you, Dad. I appreciate the brilliance in the stupidity. Number 1 is In Bruges. In Bruges is everything I love put into one movie. It's dark, it's dramatic, it's crime oriented, and it's extremely funny. My first time watching this, I just recall my dad and I laughing out loud the entire time. This is quite possibly the quintessential black comedy of the 21st century. This film has to have possibly some of the best dialogue ever written in a movie. It can switch so quickly from a dark comedy to an intense thriller. The sheer absurdity of the characters in this film is what makes it so damn good. It is quite literally a masterpiece, and I'm happy that I got to watch it with my dad. I just want to end this saying happy birthday, Dad, and thanks for sharing your love of movies with me, because if it wasn't for you, I don't think I would love movies as much as I do. So thank you. Thanks for watching, guys. Catch you on the flip side.